So President Trump and his administration are defending the Justice Department's indictment of former FBI Director James Comey. In a Truth Social post over the weekend, the president called Comey a, quote, dirty cop.
A dirty cop who helped get him elected president.
And claimed FBI agents were happy with the charges. He also thanked current FBI Director Kash Patel for his work on the case. The National Review features a new piece by contributing editor Andrew McCarthy, who says the indictment against Comey should be dismissed. He writes in part, the vindictive indictment the Trump Justice Department barely managed to get a grand jury to approve on Thursday is so ill-conceived and incompetently drafted, he should be able to get it thrown out on a pretrial motion to dismiss. We'll be following that. Meanwhile, FBI Director Kash Patel is disputing claims made by President Trump about the January 6th insurrection. Over the weekend, the president claimed that FBI agents were part of the crowd that stormed the Capitol that day, while hinting at a potential investigation into former FBI Director Christopher Wray. FBI Director Kash Patel contradicted those claims, writing on social media that 247 agents were at the protest for crowd control. In an interview, Patel went further, explaining they were only sent into the crowd after it had been declared a riot.
Jon Meacham, extraordinary here, and I think important that FBI Director Kash Patel actually did this, where you have Donald Trump spreading a conspiracy theory that FBI agents were agitators. Kash Patel responded. He clarified it. He went on Fox News, said that wasn't the case. They were only sent in after the riots. But here you have, again, Donald Trump over the past 10 days. And by the way, that's really important for the FBI's long-term health, that is clarified, because there have been some crazy conspiracy theories that have been harmful to the FBI and the men and women who serve there. But here you have what's happened with Comey. You've had what was happening with a member of the Fed. You've had what's now being threatened with Fani Willis. What's also Chris Wray. You go down the line. The last 10 days to 2 weeks have been especially unmoored when you look at some of what the president has said, and that's not judging by what I think. You can read the editorial pages of Murdoch's Wall Street Journal or the National Review, and they will be the ones saying it.
Yeah, this is not liberal fever dreams, right? This is not resistance porn. This is the rule of law under assault. And the question is, how successful will the assault be? And this is the time of testing of our institutions. President Reagan in 1964 made his great political debut in late October for Barry Goldwater. And he quoted FDR, for whom he'd voted 4 times. And he said, we have a rendezvous with destiny. It was a time for choosing. It's a key, almost sacred text of what used to be the core of the Republican Party. And that's what we face right now. Will the courts stand up? And I'm going to say something that I guess we're not supposed to say out loud, but it also, our public opinion matters here, because judges don't live in Austin Powers like freezer machines, right? They understand the flow of history. They understand what's happening in the country. And we need those people who do not want an authoritarian president going down a list of people, metaphorical or literal, of his alleged enemies, using the power of the state, a constitutional order created by James Madison and Alexander Hamilton, defended by American servicemen from from Gettysburg to Omaha Beach. This is under immense threat at this hour. And as you say, don't listen to us. I mean, you should, but we understand. Don't read the Wall Street Journal editorial page. read National Review. You know, those crazy lefties, you know, at the Journal and the National Review, and take a moment here and somehow, you know, make your voice heard if you want a government, a society run by law and not the man or the party of the moment. It's that fundamental.
And John Heilman, it's not just James Comey. There has been reporting, the New York Times laid it out in list form. Some of the others that President Trump has publicly and privately encouraged his Department of Justice to investigate and potentially charge: John Bolton, Letitia James, Adam Schiff, John Brennan, Fani Willis, and now we should add Christopher Wray. And we should just take the president at his word. He said so on Friday to reporters. There will be others. This is the politicization and, yes, weaponization of the Justice Department for a president for his political gain.
Yeah, and Jonathan, he couldn't be more clear about it. I mean, it's not just, I mean, you mentioned a couple people there, Adam Schiff and Letitia James. They were in the same Truth Social post that Trump put out now a little over a week ago, telling Pam Bondi that he wanted to see Jim Comey prosecuted, and not just telling her that he wanted to see him investigated or prosecuted, but declaring his guilt in advance, saying he's guilty as hell. There's so many layers of the politicization and the weaponization going on in a post like that. But the rest of these people we saw, is almost as soon as the Comey indictment came out, we got the reporting that Fani Willis was being investigated now, the woman who investigated Trump in the Georgia vote stealing case. And that was just a few hours later, and you saw Pam Bondi go on television over the weekend and basically say, this is the new order of things. Those who, in their view, weaponize the justice system against Donald Trump will now be, quote, held accountable. And I will say that, you know, again, this is a thing that could take an hour to kind of tease apart. But even if you take some measure of the notion that there were political motivations, and you accept that there were some politics in some of the prosecutions or attempted prosecutions of Donald Trump, what there was never was anything that looked like a president of the United States, whether that be Joe Biden or Barack Obama, saying to their attorney general directly and in public, I would like to see Donald Trump prosecuted and he's guilty as hell. Now, I know that might seem like a distinction without a difference if you believe that there is a deep state and you believe that the Democratic establishment was out to get Donald Trump. But to John Meacham's point, it is not a distinction without a difference. It's a distinction with a difference, because if a president of the United States can directly order his or her Justice Department to prosecute their political enemies and opponents, we have fully crossed the line into the land of authoritarianism. And that is the line that I think we have now, if not fully crossed, we're definitely on the wrong side of as of 1 week ago.
Yeah.
So, Donnie Deutsch, let's just step back a second. And let's look at this from 30,000 feet. And since all of this has started, let's talk about two things that nobody's talked about. Epstein, the economy. Epstein speaks for itself. I mean, you actually have a House Speaker that is not swearing in a Democrat who won a race because she would be the deciding vote to allow all the Epstein files to come out. So we'll just put that over there right now. But on the economy, the AP poll just came out. President Trump's approval rating 39%. His numbers on the economy even lower. Most people that have been writing about Donald Trump's approval ratings, if you look at Gallup, his approval ratings on the economy, on tariffs for all of Americans, in the 30s. Even Nate Silver, who's been a bit of an apologist for the president for some reason over the past 6 months, said that Donald Trump had a very bad week in polling this past week. And so you hear all of these stories, and you can't help but say, wait a second, is there something he doesn't want us to be talking about?
Yeah, Joe, it's interesting. You kind of read my mind, because not only is this a loser on so many levels, it's a loser with the American public. You know, right now, but every minute that Trump spends on, this weaponization of the Justice Department, you're not spending on the consumer. You're not spending on the voter. And voters have a way of going, what about me? Wait a second. So not only is it a head fake to get people to not be talking about these things, I think it hits people in the gut and they go, this is not what I want my government to be doing. I want them focusing on the economy. I want them focusing on ending wars. I want them focusing on getting tariffs right. And I think the voter, I think this ends up, we've talked about many ways this backfires, about making your enemies martyrs, by it swings back the other way, and all of a sudden the Democrats get in power, and they're using the same tactics. We've talked about so many ways that this is wrong. It's wrong for the voter, and I think that may show up in the polls at some point.
I think Democrats and Republicans, Mika, have got to figure out, with the White House, with Congress, we've got to figure out how to bring this to an end. Because George Will wrote about it this past week. If Republicans don't think there's a progressive out there that's looking at everything that Donald Trump's doing and going, when I get in power, because, Republicans are supposed to be for small government. Progressives openly say they're for big government. They want the government to be bigger and more powerful. And so you're looking at a Republican doing this, and they're not going to, this whole bit about, we're just paying them back. You need to look and see how much the far left hated Merrick Garland. How much progressives loathed Merrick Garland because they said he didn't go fast enough. He waited too long. He dragged his feet. He was too deliberate. They said the same thing about Joe Biden. It's all on Twitter. It's all on X. It's all out there. You can have your conspiracy theories. You can have whatever. You can live in your own little bubble if you want to live in your own little bubble. But progressives were angry at Merrick Garland because he didn't go fast enough. And so I'm looking at all of this that is happening, Mika, and I'm just saying the precedents that are being set are so dangerous for people working in the administration right now, for people working in past administrations, future administrations. I'm telling you, Republicans and Democrats have to. This isn't kumbaya, all right? This is, let's keep this country together.
Yeah, keep it between the lines.
It's been a pretty damn good run for the past 249 years. I'd like my kids and grandkids and great-grandkids to have a couple hundred years more of this. But we've got to stop this. We've got to bring both sides together. Both sides are thinking it's the other side's fault. But it's everybody's.
Historian
it's everybody's
Jon
fault.
Meacham.
They got to get together.
Thank you very much for being on this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you, John.